Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are, of course, your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. We're back. Just, God, at the moment, I tell you, tough shift. Graveyard shifts here on Last Word on Spurs, as we are here to reflect on Spurs being beaten up at Bournemouth by 3-2. And this was a Bournemouth side, I just say beforehand, that hadn't won a game since October the 26th, 2025. 73 days ago. 11 games winless. They now go 1 point behind Spurs, who sit 14th in January. Too many times we've seen the same this season. Spurs remain winless 3 games in to 2026 with only 2 wins in their last 12 Premier League games. Thomas Frank booed by the Spurs fans for the 3rd consecutive game at full time, and something seriously has to change. We're joined by Marlon, we're joined by Luke, and we're joined by the returning Richard Cracknell on this edition of Last Word on Spurs. If we can ask you out there, like you always do for us, if you can, like, hype, subscribe to the show, share this out to a wide range of Spurs audience. I do think it's going to be a powerful edition of the show, given the nature of just how many topics we've got to try and cram in this episode, and where that result leaves Spurs, just generally the state of play around the football club. Just honestly, I have to say before I bring Cracks back in, that we've got a manager that, whether you like it, whether you dislike it, whether you care, whether you don't care, is pictured with an Arsenal cup. Now, that's not AI generated, and some don't care. Some just think it's not a big deal. But if he can't even see what's on his cup, as I think what Jamie O'Hara said, how do we trust this guy on the touchline to see what's going on the pitch at the moment? Just absolutely disgraceful from top to bottom what's going on with his football club. And it's from the very, very top, the root cause of what's going on right now. And I've got a feeling this might be a bit of an inside job. You've got to have that feeling it might be a bit of an inside job at the moment, what is going on in this football club. Look, let's address something that is really, really important firstly to begin on this show. Tottenham Hotspur hero Martin Chivers has sadly passed away at the age of 80. The former striker spent 8 years at White Hart Lane between 1968 to 1976, winning 4 major honours. He made the move to Spurs from Southampton in what was then a club record deal worth $125,000. The transfer also made him England's most expensive player at the time, with Chivers proving it was money well spent. He won 2 League Cups with Spurs in 71 and 73, scoring the only 2 goals in the year over Aston Villa in the final. He also helped Spurs lift the UEFA Cup in 1972 at the expense of Wolves, where he fired in a double in the 2-1 first leg victory. He was also part of the side that won the Anglo-Italian League Cup, like I mentioned, in 1971, where he scored the 2 goals in the final over Torino. In total, Chivers, 174 goals in 367 matches for Spurs in all competitions. He was also capped by the Three Lions on 24 occasions. He remained the club's leading scorer in European football until November 2013, where he was in the stands to watch Jermaine Defoe score for the 23rd time in Europe against FC Sheriff in the Europa League. Our thoughts, our condolences are with, of course, Martin Chivers' family and friends at this very, very sad time. Cracks, just to get you to say a few words. I know, again, from the Legends Nights, you would be much aware of Martin, and again, how close he was adored by the Spurs community. We've lost a real hero, haven't we, in Martin?
Very much so, Rick. And as you said, everything you give with his stats there, for anybody, including myself, he was just finishing at Tottenham as I was just starting. And it's nice that we're talking about this and doing this before we move on to other matters. So yeah, it's just nice to cap this off at the start, so to speak. The Harry Kane of his day, and it was very, very difficult for Martin when he first came to the club, because we had the G-men up front. We had Gilzean and Greaves. Greavesy went, and they were big shoes to fill. And wow. I mean, he really did feel them. He came in and really done a great job, as you said, you pointed out. The cup winning goals that he scored and his goal scoring record. A lovely player. You see today a lot of people saying, "Oh, my dad's hero," my uncle's hero. That sort of generation just above mine, sort of in their 60s and 70s that saw him when they were growing up. Fantastic player for Tottenham. Tottenham through and through, by the way. Loved the club, and a real pleasure to work with. I've done a few nights and events with him. I spoke to him just before Christmas, actually, and he was in good spirits and always really good to chat to. He's one of the people I always take notice of, because quite often people say to me, "Oh, how's life in Tenerife, Crackers?" And no, I live in Lanzarote. Oh, yeah, that's right. But Martin always, "How's Lanzarote, Crackers?" He sort of went. So when you spoke to him and told him something, he heard it and took notice. He was a really nice guy to be around, away from the footballer, Martin Chivers. Martin Chivers, the man, really, really good guy. Used to tell fantastic tales of, his relationship with Bill Nick. He had a really good relationship with Bill Nick as well, where others could sometimes have a bit of an up and down relationship with Bill, but they were very, very fond of each other. And just the outpouring of love today from when you saw the club announce it earlier, the amount of people that put pictures up where he'd stopped and had a picture at events or at Tottenham, or even just on the street or coming along to a school awards, etc., and spoke so fondly of what a nice man he actually was. So, yeah, God bless Martin, and condolences to his family and friends. A big character amongst the ex-players that do the match day hospitality and goes out and plays golf. So, I'm sending love to a lot of them ex-boys, where he was a real part of that groovy gang that still work together and play golf together. And he's gonna be a big miss, and it was a pleasure to know him and work with him. So God bless Martin. Thank you for everything.
Cracks, lovely words there. And again, I'll mention that again. Our thoughts and condolences are with, of course, the Chivers family and friends. We send all our love to them at this very, very sad time. Right, back to Tottenham in the present day. Back to Spurs in the present day. I mentioned at the top of the show for Tottenham that Bournemouth hadn't won a game since October 2025, 73 days ago, 11 games winless. That was broken against Tottenham. They go now a point behind Spurs, who I mentioned it, 14th in January. We remain winless going into 2026 with only 2 wins in the last 12. Thomas Frank booed by the Spurs fans for a 3rd consecutive game at full time. I said it, something has to seriously change. It has to. This is only going one way at the moment. It is only going one way. Before we bring in the guys, let's take you through those match facts and stats, if you can stomach them. Bournemouth 3, Tottenham 2. Bournemouth 11 shots to Tottenham 16 in regards to the game, but Spurs only managing 4 on target to Bournemouth's 3. It shows how clinical were Bournemouth from every shot. They scored. Tottenham, they missed 2 big chances on the night. Spurs, the busier of the 2 sides in terms of touches in the opposition box, 29 to 15. Bournemouth, the busier of the 2 sides in terms of clearances, 35 to 14. Recovery-wise, Tottenham were less on the recoveries, 46 to Bournemouth's 53. We edged the corner count 7 to 3. We edged possession, 58% to Bournemouth's 42. Bournemouth 1.40 in terms of their XG to Tottenham's 1.43. Now, at full time, Mickey van der Ven and João Palhinha were seen going over to the travelling fans to have some stern words with them. And João Palhinha said, in terms of that discussion he had with the away fans, that it was just the supporters that were sharing their frustration. We, of course, understand. We respect them, first of all. Just that we are all fighting for the same thing. We want to win, not just the players, the staff and the supporters. We are trying to get the wins that, in my opinion, we deserve in these last games. And the ironic thing about it is, Luke, I do want to open with you, is that in the past 12 months, Spurs players have confronted their own supporters almost as often as they've won Premier League games at home. something is broken. And I tell you, it's not us as supporters. So, Luke, I'll open with you because there may be a thing that we didn't deserve to lose the game, and there were elements that we were playing well. But what I would say is that it felt it took every tactic being thrown out the window for us to really go for it, which we did on a couple of occasions there, that maybe nearly got us a result. But that is hugely damaging to lose to a side that were winless in 11 coming into it, and to concede like that in the final few moments. And what made me laugh is the commentary suggested that Thomas Frank would be absolutely shell-shocked by the end of that game. Well, that's the same goal that we concede week in, week out. We just do not close down at the edge of the box. And for me, when I was told about Frank, we're going to be more solid, we're going to be better defensively, we're conceding more goals than I think we are in this case of last season, and we're not scoring as many. And we are aware their players are missing, totally aware. But I will just bring you back to what he said pre-game, where we have to show respect to Bournemouth, and they're a side that are dangerous. I mean, what is that message sending through to our lads in the dressing room? Start us off, Luke, if you can.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that statement was just absolutely outrageous. He's in an interview, and the interviewer said to him, Bournemouth have not won a game in 11, so they're really going to come out and press us. And his response was, yep, I think Bournemouth are one of the hardest teams in the league to beat. Sorry? They haven't won a game in 11. And that was part of the opening statement. It wasn't like that. That was part of the question that was asked to him, and he's come back with a response like that. It's just absolutely incredible. And it's just a mentality thing. It's just crazy. Even to keep mentioning that we played well. There was opportunities there. There were a couple of chances. Richarlison hit the post, etc., where you could argue that maybe on another day we do walk away with a win there. But you can't keep repeating that we played well when we've lost to a team that haven't won in 11. It's just not acceptable. And it may be acceptable at Brentford. And we keep saying this, but Brentford are now 5th. So it's just like everything that he seems to be saying is either a dig at fans, at the club, or everything seems to be a deflection away from him and what happened last year in the league, but not bringing up the fact that we also won the Europa League. So it seems that everything's broken at this moment in time, from players to manager, everything. You've got a director of football that is wanting to leave, kind of not going but staying, but signing players at the new club he's going to. It's literally like a comedy sketch right the way through at this moment in time. And at the end of the day, we're the ones that have to go through it. I said it on the last show. He keeps telling us how bad we are and how bad we were. We know. We watch them every single game. So we know how bad we are. We don't need to keep being reminded about it. So yeah, just such a strange game, and as I say, taking the lead in a Thomas Frank team, you think if Thomas Frank takes the lead, he's able to absorb, he's able to sit back, and he's able to kind of hit on counters. But that didn't even happen. And people talk about the injuries. We weren't allowed to talk about the injuries last year because it should be adapting and it should be making better. But the defense has not got the injuries. The defense is there. You could even argue that. Yeah, you could argue that not only have you got them two centre-backs that weren't available last year, you've also got Palhinha, who, as always, and I believe it, even though he's only played like 75% of the season, he's still the top of the tackles in the whole league. So you've brought in a very, very good DM specific to that role. So actually, we should have been better defensively, regardless of who the manager was, because we had better players available and also brought in. So yeah, the whole club just needs a change up. We need to be pushed into a different direction because, as I say, it's right the way through the club. This goes from absolute top to bottom, and this isn't all on Frank. Let's be clear of that. No, this isn't all on Frank. However, he has to take a portion of the blame because of certain things he's saying, doing, setting up, whatever that may be. Even today, straight away with the lineup, which I'm sure we'll go into in a bit more detail, he's someone who doesn't want to progress the ball through the middle. And other than Porro, every player on that pitch was a central player today. Tell is an inside forward. You had 4 central midfielders that played. Xavi played, who plays in the 10. You have Spence, who comes in field. So everything is coming in field, but he doesn't want to progress in field. He wants to progress from the wings. Well, how does that make any sense? Because you've just selected all of central players. So there's just so much that needs to change at this club. And then obviously Bentancur picked up a little bit of a knock. He's going to be back in 2028. So everything is just going downhill at this moment in time. And the problem for me is that there's, as Ange said, the light at the end of the tunnel is always an oncoming train, and that has been exactly the thing as well this season. That's what it feels like every time we've had a half decent half or a decent performance by someone. Things like this continue to happen, and it's not getting any better.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest frustrations, we're going to come on Thomas Frank in more detail, but the minute anyone was to reference Ange, comment or a quote, there's an assumption you want Ange back. Doesn't mean you want Ange back. You can talk about Ange Postecoglou without meaning that you want him back at the football club. You can unfortunately have two disappointing managers in a row, but one that gave us an unbelievable night in Bilbao, and we always take our hats off to him and we give him our flowers for that. Marlon, let me come to you. I thought trying to be positive, I can try and be positive. I thought Tell was good. I thought Simmons and Bergvall had good moments, but against Spurs, they made the same mistakes they always do. And I can't get away from this. They lost to a team that hadn't won in the Premier League since October, 73 days ago. 11 games winless. I'm seeing nothing to suggest this is getting better. And yes, I acknowledge there's injuries. Yes, I acknowledge that he's got very few options to change it. But we can't defend. Marlon, what do you think of that game before we get into Thomas Frank?
Probably as expected as what I was expecting. Look, it was on the Sky Sports Golf channel in the UK, and
how ironic.
Yeah, how ironic, because I'm not a massive fan of golf, and it just seemed to suit the exact way that I've never switched on that channel in my life, and I should have switched on today because Spurs are an utter mess. And look, I think everybody's correct. Look, the club's a mess, but when the football on the pitch is not progressively getting better. Frank doesn't seem like he seems like he's just losing the plot. I think the pressure's getting to him. He can't handle this. And unfortunately, the club needs to wake up tomorrow. And if there's not a statement tomorrow to say that he's gone.
Or today, for listeners on audio today.
Or today on audio, then the club's done. Because
something's got to change.
I'm going to throw a comparison here. We're getting very lucky again that the bottom three are who they are.
Yep.
If you look at West Ham's situation and the way they are feeling about their club, we're probably about 2 years behind them. So we better start getting our ducks in a row. They won a trophy. Yeah, they got rid of their manager. Look where they are now. Everyone was against their board. We're doing exactly the same thing. So things need to change drastically. Look, I'm going to call out a couple of players tonight, and Romero is one of them. He needs to step up as captain. It's just not happening for him. I don't care what anyone says. It's just not happening. Van der Ven, he's meant to be this brilliant defender. Again, mistakes are coming from him. The fact he's diving
and confronting the fans, Marlon. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Confronting the fans, like who do you think you are?
And diving for the penalty. Okay, I'm sitting there. How could you sit there and argue? It was never a penalty. I would have been absolutely upset if we would have got that penalty because it was never a penalty. He completely ran into the player, and he's there behind the referee. Sorry, Van der Ven. Get on with the game. Actually, learn how to defend. And Jed Spence, next time you put anyone in your penitentiary, maybe stop a cross. Okay? Because I'm sick and tired, and this has been underround as well, of how many crosses coming from your side. 2 of them tonight came from his side because he doesn't shut them down. He's quick to be coming out about the one-on-ones. Oh, I stopped this, I stopped that. But he never stops a damn cross coming to that box. Maybe stop one of those first, then maybe it puts us in less danger. And this is the issue for me. I can't look. I know I've been dabbing on some of the young players, but I can't be dabbing on them because it's the senior players that let us down. Bentancur, I've been a fan of Bentancur, well, used to be, but the way he's playing under Frank, I just want to get him out of the club. Like, this is where I'm at with most of these players now. I'm like, what Frank has made me hate some of you, and I can clearly see that the way the football, what Frank is trying to ask them to do, they can't do. The fact that he doesn't change it, he seems to just be regimented on it. Yep. the fact that we played, admittedly, I understood that Richarlison probably needed a bit of rest. He's played a lot of games in the last couple of days. But the fact he went and put Bergvall to play on the right, I'm looking at it going, what are you doing? Like, have your wingers. Odegaard, it's not like Odegaard's played that much. Like, come on, backs. And this is against a team like Bournemouth. And to be fair, in that last 15, 20 minutes, we started to put pressure on them. But that was just because we actually we actually had everyone, like, the positional where we were and everything like that. It just seemed to be working. However, I'm just sick and tired when I think it's because I knew the manager wasn't right from the beginning. And I've defended him. I've defended him over the last few weeks.
I know you have.
All right? Because I'm not going to sit there and say it's all his fault, but I can clearly see what he's trying to do. But this right now is a marriage that's just not working. And sometimes you really, really have to look at it as the club. And I really hope someone is in the club tonight going, we can't pull this one off, because for the first time, and I can't believe I'm admitting this, if Daniel Levy was here, he'd be gone.
Daniel Lee would have sacked him by now.
He would have gone to Uncle Joe and gone, I need a certain amount of money. This is not working. I need to sack the manager. And I think that's why all of us Spurs fans are getting frustrated, because in the situation when we've been like this in the past, the manager's gone by now. The manager's completely gone. And for me, Frank was never, I always said this, after we won the Europa League, Frank was never the manager for Tottenham Hotspur. It should have been, it should have just changed. And it should have been someone of a higher caliber who can be in the Champions League and could do 3 games a week and can play better football. Because all they were worried about, like last year, was we couldn't defend. Well, we still can't defend, so it's pointless now.
And we're meant to see improvement.
Pointless.
We're meant to see improvement.
And everyone will go, but name me someone right now who could come in and do a better job. I actually don't care. I don't care anymore.
It's not our job. It's not our job. That's what the board are for. That's what they're being paid healthily for.
But I'm at the situation where I don't even care who they bring in, because, again, it's got to be better than this.
It can't carry on like this. It can't carry on like this. It can't carry on.
You can't make they can make the same mistake again. But that's 2 managers now they've made a mistake on. Don't make it a third. Otherwise, as you saw I think yesterday you put the change for Tottenham thing out.
Yeah.
People start jumping on the bandwagon again. They're not getting very long. So hurry up, Tottenham Hotspur, hurry up.
Like we've said, this is not all of Thomas Frank's fault, but I've said that about the last 4 or 5 managers' cracks, and you've been with me here for the last 5, 6 years, and it does feel like rinse and repeat, because we've said this time and time and time again. It's people would say, why always us with Semenyo? You know, the fact that he scores in his final farewell game and he has that moment with the fans, and the reality is that with some suggesting we played well, for as well as we played, we're so woeful defensively that it just lets all that evaporate into thin air. And then there's the Arsenal Cup image that I still just can't get out of my head. Whether someone stitched him up and given him a cup and he's not realised. And it's not AI, before anyone keeps saying it's AI. It's not AI. It's a genuine image of Thomas Frank holding an Arsenal Cup. I mean, whether you think it's stupid or not for me bringing this up, how stupid can you be to be pictured with that? How stupid can you be? Cracks, just talk to me about the game before we talk about more about Frank and his future.
Rick, to quote Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 4, there's something rotten in the state of Denmark. How poetic. And that seems to be Johan Lang and Thomas Frank at the moment, doesn't it? It just, which is all about a play more about deep-seated problems within the government and the running of a whole country. And it does all seem to be just a bit of a Shakespearean tragedy at the moment, doesn't it? At the club, it's, Thomas Frank is clearly not the manager for us. It just hasn't worked. I don't think he's a terrible manager. He's just not a Tottenham manager. It looks like he's just not been able to make the step up. I think we've got a squad of players that are short on quality. And I think we've got poor players that are being poorly coached at present, and not fitting in with the way that they want to play. They're disengaged, they're disinterested, they're not buying into it. Us as fans are not buying into it. And then you look above Thomas Frank and you look at that board and the football people within it. I can't see one football person in that board, Rick. It just looks like, I mean, that image just says it all. It just looks like a bunch of middle management. That's all it is. You know, it's just like a bunch of middle management at middle companies in middle England, you know, that work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and then go off at the weekends and do like yogurt knitting or battle reenactments or something. Who's football there? The only person that looks like who's got anything about him football wise at the club is Paratici, and you know, these rumours of him going to Fiorentina haven't come from nowhere. So why is a man at a club which is absolutely stuffed to the gills with cash and so much money and so much potential to bring in such great players wanting to go to a club like Fiorentina's sides? I just can't. So something's not right there. You know, is he having his wings clipped for being able to bring in the players that he wants? Are we seeing something similar that's gone on at Man United and Chelsea, whereby the board think that they can run things and they just want a mouthpiece in place? So look, firstly, Thomas Frank isn't right for Tottenham. You can't see that progression even within just this half a season. I couldn't tell you what we are, who we are. I don't see any patterns of play. I'm just not seeing anything. There's no clear identity with him and what he wants to do. And if there is, it's certainly not coming out via these players. So look, maybe if he goes, and it looks increasingly likely that he will, because the fans on the internet went, then the home fans went, now the away fans are gone as well. And once you lose the away fans, that's it. That's it. That's your hardcore. That's your loyal. When they're gone, everything's gone. Somebody new comes in. Okay, I think you get a bit more out of them. Maybe a lot more. Who knows? But
just a feel good factor for Cracks. No one's enjoying watching this. No one wants to go to the games. No one wants to watch the games. No one wants to. It's toxic. The whole thing is toxic.
Nothing. It's toxic and it's all off. And I don't know if a manager can come in and circle the wagons of the dressing room and just say, right, let that lot politicians upstairs get on with what they're doing, whatever it is that they're doing, selling the club, funding the club, doing whatever, battle reenactments at the weekend. I don't care what it is. It's us. And we circle the wagons and I want this, this and this, and we get some enjoyable football. You might be able to start to build something with it. But at the moment, it looks like there's just so much more than the manager that's wrong at that club. And like you said, there's been more rows between managers and fans and players and fans than there has been wins or points. That's wrong, Rick. It's all off. It's completely toxic. There needs to be some strong football characters within that structure coming through, because Thomas Frank doesn't look like that, man.
No,
he doesn't look like he's got that bit of swag about him. You know, he's got that very laid back way. You don't hear nothing from the board now. Who's running what? Who's who? Who's responsible for this? Who's responsible for that?
We're a week into the transfer window. We're a week into the transfer window. Cracks, that you come back in.
Yeah.
We've weakened the squad and not strengthened it, and 3 games have gone by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've weakened it. If anything,
and we're meant to be building on the success of the Europa League.
Yeah. Well, they came in and told us that everything was changing. Now Daniel Levy's gone, and we're going to do this, and we've slung £100 million in the pot. And I said to you previously, why are you telling everybody what you're throwing into the pot to spend? You don't walk into a car dealership and see a car that's like maybe 10 grand and tell the car dealer, I've got 20 grand in my pocket. You walk in there and tell him you've got 8 grand at a stretch. It's just like, it just seems a nuts position to take, because these people clearly don't understand football. there is no football people at that club. Sorry, there just isn't. So there's a hell of a lot that needs to change. So I don't know where we go from here, Rick. It's a mess. It's a toxic mess as well. And if it's not addressed and somebody comes out and gets hold of this, this is only going to go one way.
Well, look, we're going to go next to hear from Thomas Frank because we want to hear this press conference to understand where he's at, where we're at, and our reaction to that press conference. And we have got over nearly 8,500 that are watching us live. As always, thank you ever so much for all your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs. It's a powerful episode. This does need to be shared out to a wide range Spurs audience. So we are going to, if you can, for us, please, if you can hype, subscribe to the show, that would be greatly appreciated. We're just going to bring in a few comments that we've had here in the show. Locks Johnston says, Jed Spence on the left is a huge issue for me. Noah Spez, Keith Andrews, first gig as a coach in Brentford, a fifth. Please make it make sense. He says, Frank out. And we've got a few comments here. 4 wins in 16 games for Thomas Frank. That includes Slavia Prague and Copenhagen. Let's hear from him. Let's hear from Thomas Frank, and we'll get his reaction to that result and what we make of that press conference and where Tottenham do turn next. Because believe me, it feels like we're only just getting started and trying to unravel where this mess is going next. Let's hear from Thomas Frank.
Again, that you have the chances to win, but obviously it must be so frustrating to lose it at the death.
Definitely. I think it's very tough to sit here right now and we haven't got anything out of overall good performance. I think we started well. Down here got 1-0, conceding 2 goals on second phase set pieces, and especially the second one we need to do much better. But I really like the character in the team and from the players. They gave everything. The second half, I think we were completely on top. And keep going even through disappointments and small setbacks we talked about before. Work very, very hard with the players and the team on that. Don't scoring inside the post from Richie, overturned penalty. Keep going, getting the equalizer, 2-2. After that, I think we are closer to win than Bournemouth are, with the Mickey header, with other good opportunities. So to sit here concede in 5-6 minutes extra time is very painful, very tough. But that's football. It's margins of football.
What did you make of the penalty being overturned?
I think it's a 50-50 situation.
Yeah, and can I ask you about injuries? Both and then scored down.
Of course. I don't know exactly the update. Of course, my initial thought is probably not the top with Lucas when he's off second time in, what was it, Crystal Palace when he went off, I think it was. So,
I'm just going to ask very quickly about Kudus, because it's the first time since we can't spoke to him since the scan. Is it a bad one?
We know more. When we see each other, I can't remember when is that, tomorrow, yeah. We know more tomorrow. Yeah.
We have to ask you about the unfortunate image before the game, holding a cup. It's got Arsenal branding on it. Presume got passed it to you. Did you just not notice that it was
Definitely not notice it. I think it's fair to say that we're not winning every single football match, so it'll be absolutely completely stupid of me to take a cup with Arsenal. So anyone thinking I've done that, or the staff has done it, they've been in the changing room or the game before us. It's normal, take a cup, give me an espresso, do that out before every game. So I think actually it's a little bit sad in football that I need to be asked a question about that. I think we're definitely going the wrong direction if we need to worry about that me having a cup with another logo of another club. Where of course I'll never do that. That's extremely stupid.
Thomas, just on the winning goal, obviously Semenyo is about to leave Bournemouth. He scored an incredible winning goal. From a defensive point of view, how did you see that goal?
The easiest thing is to say we can never concede that. I think our goal against Sunderland, that's after I looked at back, that we can never concede. This one, we can never concede it anyway. I need to watch it back a little bit more calm-headed. There's of course extra time, but get everyone behind the ball. It's not like it's a transition where we have 3v2 or something looking absolutely hopeless. This was a situation where they have given everything, but and then you finish on an angle quite far out on the side of the goal, which is not going to score every single time, but it did today.
You mentioned about the two goals that you conceded in the first half. They were almost kind of identical in the positions that the cross came in. Was that just a case of players not getting out to the play, or was it kind of a structural breakdown?
I think the second one is the biggest one. We need to accept sometimes the teams do something that is okay, but the second one needs to do better.
And then obviously with the injuries as well, does this kind of necessitate even further the club getting into the market in January and doing some business really quickly?
We, as I said quite a few times, we are in the market. The club is working very hard they can. It's difficult in January, and we need to get players in that can improve the squad.
May I ask you about, there seem to be some exchanges with the fans in the away end at the end between your players and them. Was there anything that troubled you, or is it just frustrations that you sort of understand?
I haven't seen that situation. That's one thing. I think it's fair to say everyone involved in Tottenham, players, staff, fans, everyone, is a tough one to take today. I think hopefully everyone can see how hard we work to get everything in the right direction. And I think overall the performance was good, especially the second half, and a game where we deserve to get more. That is extremely painful to be part of. So of course people are frustrated, I'm frustrated, so that's natural.
Okay, thank you.
Same guys.
So there you go. That was Thomas Frank there on the back of Spurs losing to Bournemouth in the last minutes of the game by 3-2. Thanks again to the over 10,500 that are watching us live.
He says I need to go back and watch that second goal calmly and take him. He's already fucking horizontal. Like in that, if he needs to calm down from that in the post match, how calm does it? This is half the problem with him. He's just so laid back. Honestly, Rick, if his dog died, he'd go, "Oh, in a way, it's very quite sad, you know, about the dogs. He's 14 years old, and you know, and there's a normal sort of human being in football would just be like Mourinho was just devastated. There's no emotion with him. He just gives you, it's just cold, dead eyes, dead-eyed answers, dead. That's not football. Football is passion. Football sometimes is kicking people up the arse and kicking water bottles down the line and having that mix. It's never coming from him. It's just all too laid back. Like, you just can't ever see him going into that dressing room and throwing a few fucks into people and telling them their fortune.
Yeah. He hasn't got it.
There's just no life in this club at the moment. From board level, like middle management, politicians, him. Just fuck off and somebody just do fucking something at the club and show a bit of fucking passion, please. That's and then it might just start stirring us and stirring some players. It just needs a little bit of old school. Get in there and get fucking at this team today.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there. He ain't got the chop. You know what? Maybe I've not made it clear. Yeah, maybe not made it clear my view on it, Cracks, and let you come back in. He just hasn't got the chops for this. And I've tried to show balance. I've tried to be understanding. I've tried to sympathise about the injuries. I've tried to sympathise about what he's having to work with. I've tried to sympathise in terms of what he's dealing with upstairs and downstairs and on the pitch and off the pitch and around it. The reality is that, you know, I was very...
Apologies for swearing, because I know we try and keep this a little bit family friendly.
Yeah,
but sometimes that is football. And honestly, it's just like, you know, it just needs somebody
Nothing's
to
getting
turn
better
around and say, we are Tottenham fucking Hotspur, and turn up and do something.
Yeah. Nothing is getting better here. Nothing is getting better. Nothing's improving. You would never believe, based on those scenes that we've seen at Bournemouth, that this club won a trophy less than 12 months ago. You would never believe in what you're seeing. It's more toxic now than it's been since we won a trophy and Daniel Levy is left. Make that make sense. Make that make sense of where we are right now and the utter shit show and mess we find ourselves in. It is just unbelievable how much we're falling here. And you said it, Marlon, earlier. I know Luke said it before. Look at clubs like Everton and West Ham. If we do not get, like you said, I think at the top of the show, our ducks in a row, this club is falling like a stone. And here we are, over a week into the January transfer window. We've weakened the squad rather than strengthen it. And all we keep being told is that we want to build on the success of last season. We're weakening our position. I've got no words for this. I just don't see how we can continue where we are right now. And yes, there's injuries. And yes, there's mitigating circumstances. And yes, Thomas Frank, once again, has maybe been dealt a bad hand in terms of the original summer window. But you just can't continue carrying on the way we are right now, with what we're seeing, with what we're doing. Yes, there's an evident lack of quality in terms of the players. No one's denying that. But should Tottenham be sitting 14th in the league? I just don't think we should be. I don't think we should be. Luke, I want to come over to you because I look at statistics that guide me a lot. I know they're not the full picture. I know you can paint narrative with statistics, but facts are stats. Stats are facts. So if you want to get that, put that phrase together, we've gained only 9 points in the last 10 league matches. Only 3 teams in the league have picked up less wins in their last 12 games. Spurs have won just once in their previous 6 Premier League games. 7 wins from 21. 2 wins in the Premier League since November. Drawing 3, losing 6 of the last 12. How can this continue, Luke? We're seeing nothing to suggest this is getting any better. And we've got a massive game at the weekend in the FA Cup against Aston Villa, where, let's be honest about it, I don't want to speak for all Tottenham fans. I always say I don't want to speak for everyone. I don't ever want to try and attempt that. But if we go out of the FA Cup, what's left for us this season? Please don't tell me you can win the Champions League.
No, I think that's exactly it, right? And this is similar to what happened last year, but we knew it was right away at the end of the season, but there was a Europa League to kind of look forward to, and obviously we don't have that now. So it feels like this has just gone on and on and on and on. So I think you're absolutely right. I don't feel like I still can't work out where we're going and what we're becoming. And when you say where's the improvement going to be, that the only improvement that we can realistically see at this moment in time is if he gets players through the door. And even then, there's no guarantee because we've not seen. It's different, as I said before. Like if you're playing a certain way and you can clearly see your striker is just missing chance after chance, you go, well, we can't get a better striker. He puts them away, and then all of a sudden we might be in a different situation. But it doesn't feel like that. And there's so many decisions that he's making, and I'm just like, I don't understand it. Like imagine last year if someone went to you, Bergvall will be playing right wing next year.
It's just
What are you talking about? Don't be silly. Not in a million years. Why would that happen? He's playing right wing. And we've got Odobert on the bench, who has barely played, and so has Tell barely played. So therefore, we can't say, it's because of rotation. It's because they're a winger. And that's what, and again, I'll go back to it. He is a manager that likes to build up on the wing. And he's played one winger today who's inverted. So technically, the only player that actually plays wide in their position is Porro. Nobody else does. So you've got a whole tactic. It's almost like we're playing long ball, but the player that we're playing up front is Jermaine Defoe. So that goes against all of the tactics that you're putting in. It doesn't make any sense. So I think the only thing that can change is that listen, I've said this earlier, we need to get better players through the door. That absolutely needs to happen. It isn't happening at this moment in time. But that is the only thing that's going to change this around. And if he can get some better players, it may mean that the football improves and that we might see a philosophy in what he wants to do with this club. But Marlon's right. We didn't appoint a manager that's going to go out and dominate games and be on the front foot and be attacking and be everything he told us in that first interview he was going to be. Because he's never done that. That has never been his way. That's never been what he's done. And we seem to do this on a consistent basis. We've done it with Nuno. I'm going to come in. I'm going to make you Pratt. But he's never been that manager. We seem to, we bring players in and we bring managers in and ask them to do something completely different to what got them to the position that we're now trying to get them in for. So I'm very, very much agreeing with Marlon. I initially said that I didn't think he was the man take us forward. I think he was 100% the man to come in, or 100%, but a very, very good candidate if we didn't win the Europa League and we wanted to start afresh and start a blanket and go from there. But we won the Europa League. We are a Champions League club. Whether we agree with that, whether we're in the top 5, like he said, we are a Champions League club right now, and we needed to start acting like it. And we have not done that, and we're not doing it now. We've not even learnt from the mistakes of last year, the year before. How far do you want me to go back? We needed players through the door. And the ironic thing about this whole thing, this fan base were in uproar and hated Johnson. They wanted to get rid of him. They said we needed to get rid of him. Well, guess what? Bournemouth today have kept their one player that they know is going out the door, and he's the one that scored the winner because they knew they needed a replacement. What did we do? We went and sold the player that could have made an impact today or could have made an impact last week, whatever. But at least that's another player that we wouldn't have had Bergvall playing right wing. So I just think that, again, I'll go back to it. Everything needs to change, but we need to get some players need to come through the door. I know there's some fans that are saying that I wouldn't trust Frank with 150 million. I wouldn't back him in this. We haven't got a choice. We have not got a choice here. Players need to come through that door in January, because otherwise we are going to be in really serious trouble.
Yeah, I mean, regardless,
you know what,
players...
Luke? It don't need to be about Thomas Frank. If you buy the quality and caliber of player that we can afford to buy, then when Thomas Frank goes, the next manager can also use them, because Mickey van der Ven and Romero are 2 very, very good central defenders, and they were good under Ange. And guess what? They've been pretty decent under Thomas Frank as well. If you buy quality, then they work. No matter who the manager is, quality players can play for any manager. You take a Ronaldo or that type of caliber of player, even just below that level, good quality players can play for any manager. So just go out and buy quality. And then it's not buying players for Thomas Frank or Frank Spencer or Frank whoever. You know, whoever comes in, good quality players will always be able to be used by a good quality manager. Simple as that.
Can I just go back to the manager crack specifically? You know, I can't tell you, in my opinion, I can't tell you who the answer is for the football club, short term, long term. But what I can tell you is, it's not Thomas Frank. It's not Thomas Frank. So I go back to the point. We've got a massive game in the FA Cup to come on Saturday against Aston Villa. The mood of the fan base is on the floor. Literally, it's a toxic club to even think about being around. Look at the amount of tickets that are available right now for home games. They can't give the tickets away.
No, people don't. People don't want to go and see that, Rick. It's
can I ask you, what are we going to do? What are we going to do right now?
Got the money. They're not going to stretch to buy the tickets. And that's normally what guides the bean counters, you know, upstairs, is, are we being affected financially by this continuing? Yes. Okay. Then get rid. But who do you trust upstairs to go out and identify the next manager?
But do you think, Cracks, in your opinion, to try and rescue what is going to be left of this season? Because I'll say, people are not like saying this. After Spurs crash out the FA Cup, yes, we've got some Champions League games in there. Yes, we'll make a playoff. But the reality is, with our squad quality alone, forget who the manager's going to be. We're going to be knocked out of that. So do we need to inject some kind of feel-good factor between now and the rest of the season? I don't know who that's going to be. It's not my job to say who that should be. But do you think right now making a change is the right thing to do to try and turn around the feeling of the fan base right now? I'm not saying that everyone wants Thomas Frank to go, but the people I speak to that go to Spurs week in, week out, they all tell me they like a change. Well, so I'm only reflecting what I talk to people I know.
It's a two-way transaction, Rick, isn't it? It's us as a fan base are going to have a certain amount of, like, you know, bite down on the shit sandwich for a while, because this is going to take a hell of a lot of changing with players out and players in, and you can't do that in 1 window, 2 windows. That's a 3, 4, 5 window job. But if you bring somebody in, like I've always said, and you can see some decent football and you can see what's trying to be achieved and get some buy-in for that, because, okay, we didn't win today, but the football is improved and I can see what this manager and the coaches are trying to do. A bit like with Pochettino, you could see that incremental building of things getting better and better and better. If you can see that, you get fan patience. You do get it, but you have to see it week on week, month on month, things beginning to change. And then you also need to see the board being adventurous and trying to bringing in good quality players. You get some buy-in and you get some patience, but you're just not seeing this with Thomas Frank at the moment. You're just not seeing what it is that he wants to do or trying to do. So this is why you're getting no buy-in. You know, this is why everyone's erupted over like this cup that he's walked out of the dressing room with. Now, look, if things were going well and we'd won tonight and things were all rosy in the garden, we'd have probably just laughed it off a little bit as such. Oh, jolly japes, you know, he's not seen it or someone's given it to him, like, you know, with a bit of malevolence. But when your PR is already on the deck, it's just another absolute PR disaster, isn't it? Because of where he already is, everybody's like just jumping all over it. He's right what he said in the press conference. He's not knowingly done that, you know. He's a lot of things, but he ain't stupid. But you know, football now is optics, and him saying, "Oh, you know, I shouldn't even be having to be answering questions about this."
He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
You kind of have to, because football is like this type of optics now. This is what you deal with in football now, and your PR and your optics are nearly as important as the football that you're dishing up. So you know, that's the problem. That's why everybody's jumped on it, and it's just another gaffe in a series of whatever's been going on with him. It's a mess, and it's just, you know, it's going to become a defining image for him, as much as it was with Ange, with his like hands on his knees slumped over, and Steve McLaren with his brolly for England. And you know, this will now become a defining image for Thomas Frank and his tenure at Tottenham.
So, Crack, just in summary for you, you still think he should be in charge of the game against Villa in the Cup on Saturday?
I think a lot of that depends on who it is that would be able to come in and take over on an interim basis. But at the moment, I think you could actually get rid of Thomas Frank and just leave that paper cup in charge, and you'd probably get a little bit more of a reaction, to be honest, because it's that low on the deck with the general perception and opinion of him. Then, you know, getting rid of him, I don't see how you could get any worse. To be honest,
that's what I mean.
At the moment, this is where it is at the moment. So, I don't know, Rick. But then I don't trust that them bean counters upstairs to be able to make a correct decision either. Mess. Yeah. And look at a pair of them. Look, it's just.
This is Vinay and Johan we're showing here for listeners and audio.
It's
look, they can't just say this image was before the game. Make it out, you will. That was before the game.
Exactly. There's just like nothing screams football about just their whole persona as a board. There's just, I don't know, just nothing there that says to you, oh, okay, look, if they get rid of him tonight, they'll make a good decision to get him or him. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, Rick. It's a mess.
Like I said, I mean, I'll make this very, very clear. I don't know what the answer is. I know it's a limited squad that's lacking quality, but I can tell you now, you know, just to put my cards on the table, Thomas Frank is not the answer for Tottenham Hotspur. I don't want him to die on that hill. He's not the answer. He never will be. Marlon, let me come to you. You've been busy in the background there for us, bless you. Marlon, right now where we are, Thomas Frank, like I've said there, 7 wins from 21 Premier League games, 2 wins in the Premier League since the start of November. You know, you can't build a team that seems to have a different plan every week. There has to be a default plan A to build from. Some of these players, they have no idea what they're doing. And maybe we'll argue the fact that in periods, that Bournemouth game, we did play quite well. We did have 16 shots. We did have 4 on target. We scored a couple of good goals from open play. But the reality is that we're not getting results. We're dropping down the table. The confidence is low. We've got infighting. We've got the fans frustrated with the players. The fans frustrated with the manager. Does this need a lift ahead of the weekend in what is a crucial game for Spurs this season? I can't make it any more clearer how big that game is in the FA Cup for Tottenham. I think it's season defining. I'm not saying we're going to definitely win the FA Cup. I'm not saying there's not better teams to win the FA Cup. But when Spurs go out the FA Cup, if they do go out the FA Cup to Aston Villa, what is there really to look forward to this season? Because we're not going to, in my opinion, finish anywhere near the top 5, the top 6. We haven't got the quality to. And we're not going to win the Champions League. So what we're doing here this season, if we're not going to try and give some kind of uplift to this group that, again, I will say, is lacking massive, massive quality, I don't think Thomas Frank is getting enough out of them.
It wouldn't surprise me if they wait till after the FA Cup game to make it a better PR for them. And that's me being honest.
It's done after that. What's there to play for? It's done after.
Yeah, but then they've got that excuse of that was it. He's out of the FA Cup. There was nothing else he could do. It was probably not working out. And that's probably the excuse they're going to go down. I wouldn't be surprised if they wait till after that Villa game and then it's make or break. If he wins, he survives. If he draws and it's a loss, then he's gone the next day. And I reckon that's what they'll do. I reckon they'll play it all on that FA Cup because they know how important it is to us. Because if he gets sacked tonight and then the temporary man comes in and then they lose anyway on Saturday, they're going to be, and they haven't bought any player. They know the heat's going to be on them. So they've got to try and protect themselves in this as well. And it wouldn't surprise me if they give Frank until the weekend to try, because they haven't signed anyone. Like, we need players. We need players for this weekend. We can clearly see that. Like for me, like the whole Brennan Johnson thing as well. Like if Kudus doesn't get injured, Brennan Johnson doesn't play. Brennan Johnson's had 2 games for Crystal Palace. I'm going to sit there and say he hasn't scored. He's been crap for them as well, so he would have made no difference for us. So it's more than we can sit there and say about
what it looks like. It's the opposite of what it looks like. We decided to sell a player that has weakened the squad.
Yeah, but he hasn't done anything for Palace. Would he have done it? Would he have strengthened us at any point?
Yeah, but why could we not have sold Johnson later in the window? Yes, there might not have been.
Well, to do what? What's he going to do for us? If he's not doing it for Palace in 2 games, what's he going to do for Spurs?
Why could we not have acted first and brought a player in to strengthen us rather than weaken us when we've played 2 or 3 Premier League games in the meantime? I'm not saying Johnson's the answer.
But we played Bergwall right wing today because we don't have wingers.
Yeah,
so he would have played today. He would have played.
Who was sitting on the bench who came on and played right wing? Odeberg. Odeberg can play right wing. So it's down to Frank.
For some reason,
but this is what I'm saying. Frank's Odeberg is a better option than Brennan Johnson. From the last month or so, he's been a better option. Frank chose to put Odeberg on the bench. Brennan Johnson has played 2 games for Crystal Palace. He was awful against Newcastle. I know I haven't watched it tonight, but I'm going to assume he didn't score. I know he didn't score, so he's been awful tonight as well. He hasn't been great for Spurs, so it's not to say he's going to come in and do a job for us. The fact that Bergvall's played on the right wing when there's other players that in this squad that he had available, that he could have played on the right wing, but he chose not to. This is down to Frank. Frank has chosen these players. We can sit there and rewrite history all we want, but a lot of us said that Brennan Johnson is awful, but yet he could have been an option. I bet you any money if Brennan Johnson doesn't get sold, Kudus don't get injured. That's probably what the option is. It's just one of those unfortunate incidents that's happened over the last few days. But it's not like Brennan Johnson's pulled down trees in the last 2 games for Palace.
No one suggested
and this is what I'm saying. But Odeberg, but you get tonight, Bergvall's played right wing, but Odeberg's sitting on the bench. That's stupidness on Frank's part. It's not that say he didn't have an option to play someone else right wing. Why the hell he's playing Bergvall right wing? I don't know. That's down to him.
Marlon, Frank, then for you think he'll be here for the Villa game?
I think he'll be here for the Villa game. So if
you're in control right now, what would you do personally? Would you look for a change before the Villa game?
I would have probably made the change after the weekend, if I'm being completely honest. But then I would have probably thought in my head, I'd have had someone lined up weeks ago for this to come in. from what the rumours you hear coming out of Spurs, Paratici doesn't want Frank here. He wanted to get rid of him weeks ago. So this is where you can probably see where the power struggle is at the moment.
Yep.
And if we're listening to rumours that are going around on social media tonight, as we've seen, we've been recording going live.
Yeah.
But people are saying there's an emergency meeting tomorrow. Whether that's true or not is another separate issue. It remains to be seen. So hopefully they have made a decision, and we will find out something in the next 24 hours. But I'll tell you something about the Arsenal Cup. This is how, what Crackers was saying, if there was good PR and he was on a good run, every Spurs fan would have laughed it off and gone, that's the only time we'll see Arsenal on Arsenal on a cup.
Spot on.
But it's completely gone
on the other way, 100%.
On the other way, because of the PR that he's getting at the moment. And this is where we're at. And I really want him gone, but I really don't trust the board at the moment. Like, we've been 7 days into this window, and I get you lot's point about they haven't replaced Brendan Johnson. I tell you this now, I don't trust they're going to bring in a manager either that's going to be any decent.
No, nor do I. But can it be anything worse? I keep saying it could be anything worse than this. But
I wouldn't be surprised if they've rang up Ryan Mason after getting the sack at West Brom and asking, can you come and do it for another 6 months, please? And Ryan Mason's not the answer either.
Of course he's not.
You need to think about, like, I know a lot of people talking about Harry Redknapp, and you know what? If he wanted to do it, I'd literally make sure I'll go driving. I'll be the one driving him from Bournemouth into Tottenham Hotspur every day. I'll be his lackey, because at this present moment, I just need another voice in that chamber room.
Cracks has got his numbers, and Cracks can text him whenever he wants. And I go, Luke, very quickly.
Let me tell you something about Harry Redknapp right now. He is of an age, he's well into his 70s, but there is a man absolutely full of vim and vigor and enthusiasm, and loves football. Loves earning from the game, loves his horse racing, knows his worth. But I tell you something, if you're saying that it's because he's too old, you can forget that. Someone just said he's 78, but I tell you this now, there's 78 and then there's Harry Redknapp, because he is an absolute force of nature. And I guarantee you he would get a tune out of this team until the end of the season. Martin O'Neill's gone up to Celtic.
Oh, we missed out on Martin O'Neill. We should have got him instead.
He's 72. I'm telling you, he is not 78 years old and sucking on Werther's originals and, shaking his fist at clouds and moaning about fiddly 5p's, Harry. He is all there. He would get a tune out of these boys. You speak to any of those players when he came in after one day Ramos, and it was the 2 points from 8 games, came in, and they all run through brick walls for him. Absolutely run through brick walls. And he's just a football man, Rick. He is a football man. He knows how to get a tune out of footballers. And no matter how low or how high they are, because he had some real superstars in that side. I know we don't have them, but he will get a tune out of them.
Well, Harry said on TalkSport earlier, he did it for free. Harry said on TalkSport earlier, he did it for free.
I don't know if he would. I mean, there's a little bit of PR in there, but he would get a tune out of these players. I guarantee you that. I know him. I work with him. I've got to know him personally. He would get a tune out of this team.
It's not just that, though, is it? I mean, we all recognise, Luke, that the quality of the squad is nowhere near good enough. I can't keep reinforcing this enough. Nobody is sitting here saying that we should be fourth, we should be third, we should be second or first. But the run of form that we're on right now, and the feeling around the club in general, fans that we speak to daily basis, nobody wants to watch it. Nobody wants to listen to it or see it or go through it. So surely when it is as low as what it is right now, you've got to change something. You've got to do something. What would you do, Luke, ahead of Villa very quickly before we're going to hear from Vicario?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know what's going on within the club and whether they're close to a few players or whether they're not, or whether that's dependent on who's leading the ship or what's going on. So there's so many if, buts and maybes around it. But the facts is that everything needs to improve. As I say, we're not sitting here after 21 games saying we can see where we're going with this. We can see where he wants and what he wants. And as I said, there's so many people that are saying, well, actually, he's missing these attacking players. And when they come in, well, as I said, Joe, we're not missing chances left, right, and centre. It's not that sort of football that we're doing that. We're actually got all of that, our defensive set up there, and we're still conceding goals and look like we're going to concede goals consistently as well. So you can't sit there, and it's similar to what Marlon's saying. I'm not rewriting history saying Johnson would have made a difference. He might not have, but it was another option that we didn't need to sell. It's different if we sold him and we had someone coming in, but we didn't. We've got no one coming in at this moment in time. So that is the crux of it. And ironically, as I said, Bournemouth, the player that they're selling that has a release clause that we all know is signing for another club, is the one that scores the winner today to get them the 3 points. That just proves that they're running it slightly better way than what we are. So no one's saying that Johnson shouldn't have been sold or anything like that. No. But again, it's the way that we do things. It's like what
do you think on that though? Because Semenyo is the most important player. If Johnson was our most important player, do you think we're selling Johnson that quickly? I don't think we are. You got to look at Semenyo is a very good player for them. He's not sitting on the bench. He's like pivotal to what they're doing. That's why they've wanted him for those, especially when they're playing Arsenal. And if he's going to Manchester City, you can clearly see why for Manchester City they want him to play against Arsenal.
But Man City would want him immediately, right? Because he's going to make an impact on their team.
Yeah, but he might make an impact, but they've got good enough players already to be winning their games that they have. And I know they've drawn them, but if you look at it, if say this is Harry Kane, or this is Heung-min Son, and they're being sold in this window, and we had all these games coming up, there's no way Spurs are selling them. It is a completely different situation. Semenyo,
of course, is their
best player, and that's where it's totally different. If this was another one of Bournemouth's players, I bet you they would have sold him. They would have probably sold him on the first day. But
they've got injuries, right? They've got injuries.
Yeah.
So that might be another reason why it's not just the fact that he's their main player. It's the fact that we can't sell him because we don't have other players. We don't want to be playing Bergvall right wing. So, but I agree with you. I'm not saying this is an excuse on Frank. I still think that Frank, why Odebert's not starting is ridiculous, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because we've
it's just another option that, like Luca Williams-Barnett's on the bench today. He's never ever going to come on. And if you need to bring an attacking option off the bench, you need to grab a goal. No one can say he can't score or he can score. We obviously don't know that. But again, it's just another option where you're going, well, why have we so quickly sold a player when we're not close on someone else? Because as Ricky said, we are now weaker coming into a transfer window. We are now weaker than what we was when we came into it. I think it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but the thing that really bugs me at the moment is, why has he not changed the formation as well? Because
there's so much, Marlon. There's so much.
And because we clearly have a lot of defenders at this present moment that are fit. For some reason, we just have a lot of defenders that are fit. And the fact we've only seen him play 3 at the back, twice? And because we've got a lack of options, how about trying 5 at the, or not 5 at the back, it'd be 3, and then playing Porro and Spence as wing backs, because he hasn't tried this yet. And I'm just looking at it going, you've got Danso, you've got Jagushine has just come back, who clearly could use some minutes. Romero and Van der Ven are literally not playing well together at the moment. It's just like, why are you not trying different things? Why not put 2 players up front? Moani tonight, I think clearly says to me, he doesn't want to be at this club. I think we should just send Moani back to Paris Saint-Germain, because he's talented, but you can tell that
it's not working out.
The way he trotted off the pitch tonight,
it's not working out.
I could clearly see
so much Mars. I mean, there's so much.
The way he trotted off, like, I'm done. I'm only on loan. I'm going. You could clearly see that's what's going through his head. Yeah. And this is the biggest problem. Moani for me was the prime example of what is wrong with this club, because Moani is a very good player.
It was a panic, wasn't it? It was a panic.
Yeah,
it was a panic.
His heart's not in it. He doesn't want to be here. And you're getting the feeling that quite a few players are hiding, and that's exactly what's happening at the moment.
People forget,
but that's the thing is, it's about results, right? Because I know what would have happened if we'd have lost today and we'd have played 3 at the back. Everyone would have gone, they haven't won in 11 games. Why are you playing 3 at the back? Go attacking. Go put more forward, people. Yeah, so it's about the facts is that you have to get over the line. It doesn't matter what tactics and who you play.
But he had a chance to change it when it wasn't, when we were 2-1 down. He actually had a chance. Okay, we got back into the game, admittedly, but I'm looking at the situation going, look, the one time that we all actually praised you was in the when we played PSG, and he went 5 at the back, and he's never ever played it since, except once. And it's just like, what are we doing here? Come on.
Well, look, something needs to change. Like I mentioned those points again. 9 points in our last 10 league matches. Only 3 teams in the league have picked up less wins in their last 12. We've won 1 in our previous 6. 7 wins from 21. 2 wins since the start of November. This cannot continue. It cannot continue. We are going to go for our final break of the show. For our listeners that are on audio, thanks again to the over 12,500 that are watching us live. Thank you again for all your support. If you can, I say it's a powerful edition of Last Word on Spurs where a lot has gone into it. If you can, for us, like, hype, subscribe to the show, share this out to a wide range Spurs audience. We're going to hear from Pedro Porro and what we're not going to hear from Pedro Porro. We're going to hear from Guillermo Vicario and what he's made of this showing up at Bournemouth, and we'll be touching on just some key incidents and where Spurs are in the window. Let's hear from Guillermo Vicario.
The joiners, I mean, the dressing room must be despondent at the moment. I mean, I just said to Thomas, how does it feel to come out of here with nothing tonight?
Yeah, it's so tough to accept the result tonight, because in terms of what we showed on the pitch, how we tried to get back into the game and then to push to win this game, of course, to lose in the 96th minute with that shot is very tough to accept. I think today it has been a game of very, very small margin, and as a team we were not able to change the wind in our direction, and probably the first 2 goals a little bit more of readiness, I can say. Smell the danger that because they are a threat on these crosses, especially from wide areas and deep areas. So probably we could have done a little bit better, but overall I think the performance was there, the effort, the mentality, the chance creation. To be fair, it was one of our best performances probably in the last 3-4 games. So it's very, very tough tonight. It's very tough because I think we gave everything on the pitch. So personally, yeah, about small margins, small details, but anything I can blame anyone for as a team. I think we gave everything tonight, and it's just an unbelievable result that I don't think we deserve tonight.
What are the players saying, Vic? Because you're right, these are the results that hurt the most, don't they? When it looks like you're going to win, and then it's all taken away from you.
Yeah, this is the result tonight, and like I said, it's very, very tough to accept it. And the only thing I think I can say that now we need to be proud in a certain way for what we showed on the pitch, because it has to give us some good feeling for what we put in terms of effort, mentality, chance creation, quality, keeping the ball in the right moments, find the right passes to hurt them, and then it's about being a little bit more ready looking in some situations, just really live for doing everything possible to don't allow the opposition to create the chances probably in an easier way, I would say, and it's just like this. But tonight is tough because in terms of performance, I think we cannot regret anything.
I just can't believe what I'm hearing about mentality and character and being proud when we've won 2 games in the last 12. We've lost in the last minute, and we're sitting there talking about how proud he is and how much character and mentality is being shown in this group. Wake up! Wake up! What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? Is everyone pinching themselves, thinking, like, what are we hearing? I mean, has that interview been clipped together? Like, how many times have we heard that?
I feel a bit sorry for players also, though, because they can't really. Probably in the back of his mind, he's probably thinking to himself, do you know what? I probably want to turn around and say tactics were shit. Been told not to do this. Don't do this as a defender. Don't do that as a defender. Don't go out and shut down. Blah 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 blah. He probably wants to say that, but he knows he can't say it.
I know.
So,
I just
and he gets asked questions, and he
words.
just puts together in English, which isn't his first language, a little bit of a word salad. So I just let interviews like that wash over me because he can't really say anything else. To be honest, it needs people at the very top to start coming out and explaining what's what and where we are and what's going right. They see what's going right and what's going wrong as well, because them interviews, they're just like, I couldn't tell you one thing he said, Rick. I just zoned out in it.
But the
because
thing is, though,
it's
Craig,
just,
how can you have the
it's just going through the motion interview.
How can you talk about mentality or, being proud? Like, we've 1-2 in 12. I mean, how are these words leaving your mouth? Where are the... I do not know where the standard of this football club has gone in the last decade, really, since Poch left the football club, man. These standards are on the floor. It's such a low bar now. We have got such low standards. Lack of quality of players, lack of quality of direction of the football club.
Captain to come out and speak tonight, Rick. We don't hear from Romero. Why doesn't he come out and speak and talk about what's happened tonight? So yeah, it's just
the bar is on the floor in terms of everything at this football club, Cracks. I'm sorry, mate. It's just on the floor, isn't it?
It is at the moment. Yeah, it needs an injection of something, some enthusiasm. Like I said, somebody football just to come in and give this all a little bit of a shake up and a pep. Yeah, and a little bit of honesty with the fans as well, and just say, no, that wasn't good enough tonight. But I promise you, we are, I mean, a little bit of PR bullshit of like, we are working hard and we are trying. But I don't know if people have actually got the answers. That's the problem as well. I don't know if the people have actually got answers for all of this, because it's just like there's no direction or leadership above these players in the management and then at the board level. It's like, we just had that debate about with Johnson going, and with players that could or couldn't come in. It shouldn't be an issue, Rick, because there should have been joined up thinking with the recruitment, so that if you do lose player X, player Y comes in. But that's just been poor recruitment and lack of cohesive and season on season building. So that's the real problem in this, not the semantics of one player going and there being nobody. The bigger question is, why is there not been a succession plan put into place in the first place? This is just years and years and years of mismanagement and misguidance, and nobody really having a firm plan in place and sticking to it and seeing it through and getting things done. It's not like we haven't got the PSR headroom to get all this, like to have these players in place.
This is why I'm frustrated, Cracks. With the 8th of January, when this goes out to listen to an audio, right, everyone knew we had the Semenyo money there. Fact, the Semenyo money was there from last summer. We didn't spend it. We then had the money would have been allocated to the January transfer window. And this is the point I was trying to make earlier. I know Marlon understands what I'm saying. I understand Marlon's point about Johnson and where he's totally coming from. But my frustration is, how are we at the start of this window in a position where we're weakening ourselves, whether you like Johnson, dislike Johnson, rate Johnson, don't rate Johnson? How are we minusing players off what we've got and not increasing what we've got first? That I find baffling. We've got games coming out of our heads every 2 to 3 days. We've got a squad that is already limited and weak as things stands at the moment. This, again, I'll go back to the standards are on the floor. The standards are absolutely on the floor. I just want a little bit on the game. I'm going to close on where we are with the transfer window. Luke, you mentioned earlier about the starting 11. Tell me what you made of the starting 11, because there was 5 changes there to the 11 itself. What did you make of it when it came out? Because, again, we've got a situation at the end of this game where we don't know where we are with Kudus. Frank is saying he'll have another idea in the morning as to where he is. Who knows if Frank's going to be in the bloody job in the morning. And Lucas Bergvall's also left the pitch to an injury, which we don't know how bad that is yet. So, Luke, what do you think when that team came out?
Yeah, as I said, Chad, just for a manager that doesn't want to manage, doesn't want to play narrow. Every player on the pitch is a narrow player. They're all either coming in, Spence coming in from the left onto his right foot, Tell on the left coming in onto his right foot. The amount of central players there, Bergvall playing right wing, everything is central, and we don't like to progress the ball centrally. So the lineup didn't make any sense to me. I thought Odobert and Tell needed to both play because we don't have any other wingers. So I thought both of them would end up starting. So that was the only thing really that I was a little bit confused by. We have to understand that players like Richarlison are not going to play week in, week out. They're going to have the odd game where they don't play just purely because of how injury prone he has been. I did think that there was a possibility that he would swap out one of the centre backs, potentially go 5. But again, I just felt that the optics of that going to 5 at the back to a team that hadn't won in 11 was probably not going to happen. But other than that, like, you look at that bench, and what else could he have really done? So no, it didn't really surprise me, to be honest. As I say, other than deciding to opt for Bergvall. Initially, when I read it, because of the weird way they do I thought that Bergvall was actually playing as the 10 and that it would be Xavi on the left-hand side. It was only afterwards that I kind of worked it out that actually Bergvall was going to be playing on the wing, which was, again, it's just such a strange decision. And it kind of goes back and just onto the back of the Johnson thing. We still haven't replaced Son.
No.
So that's another part of it that people are forgetting, is that we should have had a winger in the summer to come in, and then we sold one, so now we're 2 short. And this is the whole point of it. It's just that everything we do, even if the first time we've sold a player for a long, long time for decent money, even when we do that, we do it wrong because there's no plan around it, because it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, the starting lineup was he hasn't got many players to work with, so that's kind of what we're going to be rolling out. And obviously we're losing more and more, so it will probably be a very similar team next time out as well.
But just on that point you mentioned there, Luke, and forgive me, I think someone on X said this, is anyone noticing a pattern? Why did Spurs sign Xavi Simons? They signed Xavi Simons because James Maddison got injured. Why did Spurs panic and bring Mwani in? Because Dominic Solanke got injured. Right, I don't know if I'm seeing a theme here and a trend where it's going. Why are we now looking to bring in another forward? Because we've sold Brennan Johnson, and because Mohamed Kudus looks like he's out for a period. Is anyone noticing the pattern that we're going through here? We're always replacing, but we're never actually adding.
Everything we do is reactive. Everything we do as a club is reactive. It's never proactive. I mean, the fact that we're sitting here, it wasn't, I always go back to the Son one, because with Son, it wasn't like he had a decline where he was unbelievable one year and then really poor the next. Like, we could see that slowly over time, he was just going down ever so slightly. So we had 2 years before him to make sure that we had his replacement. And then when he goes, we still didn't. And we would have known, even when he was going after that Europa League, we would have known instantly that was time. He was definitely calling it then. And then we still didn't get anything over the line in that summer. So everything we do is reactive. Every single thing. It's never, ever proactive, which is a massive hindrance going forward.
Yeah. Okay, look, I don't want to go through every game key incident because that will kill us off. But obviously, Matisse Tell did put Spurs in front in the early period of the game. And to be fair to him, it was just in the 5th minute where he hit a low shot into the corner. I mean, look, it was Spurs', I would say, on the night, probably our best player by quite a distance. And he did have a late chance, but was too tired to take it in the second half. I thought it was a okay performance from Tell, one that you feel for him. He would maybe feel that there's an opportunity to build on that. But again, Spurs, in terms of the goals they're conceding, Marlon, to come over to you, as good as the first goal was, which was a beautiful backheel from Xavi to set us on our way, and Mamani got down the left. And of course, obviously Matisse cut inside to score. The equaliser, Marlon, how many times have we said it this season? A terrible goal to concede, because just the nature of our defending is all over the place, Marlon.
Yeah, no, and this is where I come back to Spence and crosses, because if you go to the second goal's conceded from the same area where it's come from across from his side. To be fair to the first goal, it was actually a very good cross and a great finish from Ivan Nilsson. And it was one of them you go on any other day. Do you know what? It was a great set up the way Bournemouth had it, and it was a good goal. The only problem is when you look at how many goals we've conceded from a similar area, you go, oh my God, here we go, typical Tottenham again. And because the second goal is then pretty similar, you're looking at the whole situation going, what the hell are Spurs doing? But we've got to stop crosses coming into the box. We've really got to stop this now, because we're not dealing with them very well, and it's just becoming a major issue. And that's been over the last month or so that this is becoming more and more of an issue, that we're starting to concede goals from crosses coming in. And when you get to the third goal, that's just something we do every bloody week.
Yeah, but Romero lost his man, of course, for the leveller.
Yeah.
But I thought, again, he was quite poor defensively in the first half in general. You know,
Yeah, he was. And that's why I called him out, because he was very poor in that first half. Once the game was, I think the last 15 minutes, he kind of turned up a little bit, but the damage was done. And that's
this is what I mean. I think we're seeing it a lot with him and Bentancur, for example. Thought that was Bentancur, one of his worst performances. So poor in possession, gifting the ball to the side.
I don't understand why he's playing.
I don't want to generalise, but you know, there's this thing about South American players, I think, where they are either fully all in or they're out. And Romero and Bentancur, I think, are those characters where if they are fully 100% invested, you're going to get the best of them. Right now, you've got Romero that's charging upfield at times, just mindless in terms of what he's doing. My worry is that, again, I'll go back to these players. I'm not sure whether they are in this with Thomas Frank. I don't think they are. And you look at the way we're defending, just simply not good enough. So, look, again, they equalised for 1-1. And obviously, I suppose our position, when you look at the nature of the fact and how we concede the second goal, I mean, again, Luke, these goals are so avoidable, aren't they? And the nature of how we're conceding them.
Yeah, I agree with Marlon. I think the first one, if it wasn't a repetitive theme, you kind of just go, you can get a bit tighter, but you could just, if you looked from a defensive standpoint, you could stop every single goal that's ever scored. Sometimes it's just, look, he's whipped in a very good cross. They got a great header. It is fairly in the corner, but the second one is just so avoidable, because the ironic thing is that it's a very similar goal. So you kind of go, well, we've just conceded from that. We won't allow that to happen. Oh, no, we did. Yep, great, brilliant. So that's part of it, is the fact that they were so close to being a very similar goal. It's obviously gone back to the back post and he's kind of nicked it in. But it's just a moment of madness again, just shutting off. And you go to Bentancur, and I said it on the last show, Bentancur and Palhinha, when they play together, Bentancur sits between the centre-backs. Why? What doesn't make any sense to me. Palhinha is your defensive midfielder. That's exactly what he does. And you always have Bentancur, who's deeper than him. It just the whole formation, the whole midfield, the whole setup, no matter who plays in there, it just does not work. And you can say about what players and what, but it doesn't matter who's in there. You can move them all around. There's all been different combinations in there. Palhinha and Bentancur at the start, then they come out, and it just doesn't seem to work. And he needs to kind of get better on that. But yeah, it's as you said, it is repetitive on the goals that we're conceding. Even the third is something that happens quite regularly, and we know why. Frank's mentioned it, and so it's just we're seeing the same goals conceded time and time out, and that becomes really, really frustrating.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, that second goal to reach Senesi at the back post to pull it back for Krupi to fire in the net, and how that we've allowed that to happen is just absolutely criminal. And the fans actually were singing going into half time, sideways and backwards everywhere we go. I mean, it sums up really just where we are right now, despite the fact, again, we did register 16 shots across the game, obviously 4 on target. I mentioned the fact that Bournemouth, they took their 3. You go on to the second half, and I mean, look, there's that incredible bit of magic cracks coming over to you from João Palhinha to bring us level, and it was an unbelievable overhead kick which saw us draw level. Did you feel any point, Cracks, we could go on to win it in that moment?
Sure. I mean, yeah, it's a fantastic goal, but equally, it's also one of those potluck ones as well, rather than a worked goal through sort of good systems and patterns of play. Take nothing away from it as such, but then we did get on the front foot, but for a time. But then again, even Semenyo's goal, which he took really well, nobody goes out to shut him down. It's nearly every goal is nobody's coming out and just doing the basics. Now, whether they're told not to do that, or whether it's just a lack of belief in what they're being asked to do, or they're just not buying into this manager. It's just the same old all the time. There's just not that blood and guts to get out there and try and die for the 3 points almost. It just doesn't seem to affect anybody. Only once the final whistle's gone, and then there seems to be a little bit of passion to go over and have a few words with the away fans. So it's a good goal. The first goal was excellent. Absolutely, our first goal was excellent.
Yeah,
but then you can smell that equaliser coming. You can see it coming. You can feel it coming.
Yeah.
And we're sat here seeing it. They're professionals. They must see that. Why isn't there that step up and that sort of gathering around and, boys, we're under it here. We need to get back out and meet a bit of fire with fire. It just sort of happens, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, but that always happens, doesn't it? But yeah, you just, and also there's also, that Dr. Tottenham will see you now moment with Semenyo. It was written, wasn't it?
Written.
If it's going to happen,
he was going to score at some point, wasn't he? He's going to score.
Exactly that. But it's in fits and starts, in tiny little peaks like that first goal. You're like, do that, take a chance, do a little back heel, a little flick, a little something comes off. Like Mickey, take a chance, get yourself up the pitch. On another day, he gets that as a penalty. It never was, and I'd have been fuming if it was given against us. But on another day, it gets seen differently by the ref and VAR, and you're awarded a penalty because it was a little bit of, to dare is to do.
Yeah.
And that's just not what we've got anything of in this side at the moment, because, old cautious Colin in the dugout doesn't want to play that way.
Very quickly, just on that VAR incident, Marlon, because obviously the referee in that moment thought it was going to be a penalty. Then he was asked to go to view his pitch side monitor. Any doubt in our minds? It looks very much, again, you look at it on review, and Cracks is right, that maybe on a different day, different occasion, where before there would have been the interruption of VAR, you would have maybe got this, but probably on review, is it fair to say that Mickey throws his leg into the challenge rather than...
Yeah, he was,
for me,
contact? I think, is it Brooks? Brooks, on that first challenge here, he's more likely to get it if he goes down there. The fact he doesn't go down there, because he's obviously played for it, he's dived, so he might as well dive with the first one, not the second, because the second one he just puts his leg into. I can't remember the guy's name now, but he just puts his leg into him, and you can clearly see that he's played for it. And the fact that him and Romero were behind him and like saying, "Oh my God, this, that, and the other," I couldn't believe it. I thought, you two are defenders, and if that was given against you, you'd be fuming. Absolutely fuming. But that's where we are now. We're trying to cheat to get penalties. Like, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be just trying to get, if we had more of an attacking play, we maybe would have gotten a penalty this season. But for him to try and even justify that, that's why I've called him out on it again, because he wants to be this top footballer. He's got the attributes to be one. There's no need to be cheating. And that's how I saw it. He literally tried to cheat, and I would have been. And for me, I always look at it and go, if the boot was on the other foot, would I be fuming? And I absolutely would if that was given against us. Yeah.
Look, obviously we've got a couple of concerns over injuries. Bergval's come off. Bentancur came off as well, injured. Didn't really get much of an update from Frank there in the press conference. We may get one, of course, probably tomorrow. Well, again, where we are right now, of course, we're building up to a massive game in the FA Cup on Saturday. And then that goal at the end, I mean, it felt almost like we've said, Luke, coming over to you, it was written, wasn't it, against Spurs? Because, these things we always say, why is it always us? Well, it always is us in terms of the nature of us conceding goals of this nature to players that are on a farewell, or they're leaving, or they've just arrived. I hate to say it's typical Tottenham, but it is typical Tottenham. It was a great strike. But again, Luke, as we mentioned at the start of the show, failure to close down on the edge of the box again.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, on the penalty incident, there was another camera angle that they showed it when it was more like on the touchline, and that actually generally looked like there was a foul. But from the one that only the referee see, it didn't look like a foul at all. So we only see one clip of it when I was watching on Sky. So it would have been interesting to see the other clip a few times, because I agree, I didn't think it was a penalty. And then when I see it from the other view, it did look like Hall had actually gone into him. But anyway, this one, 100%. And a lot of Spurs fans were tweeting saying how amazing it would be if Semenyo was to score the winner against Arsenal and then go to City. And ironically, a couple of days later, he scored the winner against us. And then now he's off to City. So, but again, as I said at the start of the show, there's a lot of people that were slagging off Romero for that third goal. But that is a tactic that is asked of him, to not go and press when there's a shot from outside the box, because you don't score from outside the box.
Thomas
Apparently.
XG is lower to shoot from outside the box, and therefore he's quite happy for opposition players to have the ability to shoot from outside the box, because he doesn't see it as a threat. But how many goals have we conceded from this season outside the box, Luke? So many.
And that's exactly it. So I agree, a defender should be pressing that. But if you're consistently told that we're happy for people to shoot from distance like that, then naturally, when you come to a situation, you don't press it as much, because you're told that we're happy with the line that we're in. So, but I always find that it's the space in front of the defenders that is the big concern. You've either got Bentancur sitting between them, or Bentancur and Palhinha are further up the pitch. And I'm thinking, I don't understand where you're actually supposed to be on a pitch on a consistent time. It's almost like it's just a little bit like hands. You just got to sort of run around and be wherever you want to be. So, but it was written in the stars. I don't think he'd made a huge impact in the game. He was at a couple of moments where he looked good, but I felt like as it was getting towards the end, I was like, he's just going to score. He's just going to do something right at the end where everybody's laughing at Spurs, and obviously, lo and behold, it happened. Great strike, but if he does that another 10 times, he probably hits the corner flag a couple of times. It goes over the bar. It doesn't always end up in the net, but that's just the way Spurs' luck is going right now. To have that sort of situation, because there was Bergvall hit a similar shot, and we had a Richarlison missed from a couple of yards out, hit the post. That's just the way it's going for us at this moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, Pedro Porro also had just an awful night, like we touched upon at the start of the show. Out of position on the left for the equaliser for Bournemouth at the start, gave Tavernier so much room. He did pick up a late yellow card for the lunge on Evan Nilsson. And then, I mean, look, Javi Simmons, to be fair, he's back in action. He grabbed an assist pretty much straight away, obviously for Tell's goal. But I'm looking at this squad and cracks. It reminds me of what you said actually in the Leicester game last season where we lost. And you said, if we were to get sucked into a battle, we just haven't got the chops for it. And we're lucky again, like you said, Cracks, there's 3 worse teams than us right now, because I tell you, this is very reminiscent. And Connor said this the other night about Tottenham. We are like an Everton in the last few seasons, or Everton have picked up form. We're 14th. And if, Cracks, we don't get our act together, this club is only going one way, isn't it, Cracks? It's only going one way.
Yeah, look, it's not this season. The 3 at the bottom there, I think they're done and dusted now. And if you think we're bad, try West Ham United, and Burnley just haven't got the quality. And Wolves, you can stick a fork in them, they're done. But it's an overall trend, isn't it? It was a flirt last season. Current form for us is relegation form as well. And if you keep circling round the plug hole, eventually you will go down it. So there is that needs to be addressed, and there needs to be some joined up thinking going forward now for this window and the next window and the next appointment we make. And my big concern is those making those appointments have not got the chops to get it right, because I'm just not seeing the right sort of football people at the top to actually go, this is where we need to head. It's a worry, Rick. It's a real
totally
worry.
Totally agree.
These people have not got a football decision in them. They've got plenty of business decisions in them. Don't worry about that. They won't get it wrong when it comes to having events at the stadium, but when it comes to the football, I'm just not seeing who's there to be able to go, okay, this isn't working. Here's the plan. This is what we're going to do going forward. It's a huge concern, but not this season, but it will eventually come. It will eventually come. Nobody is too good or too big to go down. So yeah, there needs to be some real big root and branch changes and new thinking at this club, because it's the writing's on the wall at the moment. It's a way off, but that's the trend. That's the way it's heading.
Okay.
XG of running a club is 0.01 at the moment.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that at the moment. I'm not sure I'd give it the 1. I think you'll be interested with 0.01. Honestly, look, I'm going to quickly wrap up where we are in the transfer window. I'm going to close on a final question around Thomas Frank, and obviously for Spurs, they've got a massive game against Aston Villa to come in the Cup. To give you guys an update in terms of where we are in this transfer window, Torino are now showing interest in Tottenham midfielder Callum Olasise. Discussions have already begun. That could lead to an investment that includes at least a loan with an option to buy. So keep an eye on that, and obviously we'll update you accordingly. This will set the pulses racing. I don't have any respect to the player at all whatsoever. And we've already dubbed him in a Spurs shirt because that's how confident we think it's going to happen. Because again, it's one for the future. 19-year-old winger Sani Suleiman is drawing interest from Tottenham. No teenager from outside Europe's big 5 leagues has more progressive ball carries per 90 min this season. 5.54. Slovak side AS Trenchin wants €6 million for the player. God, it's like Daniel Levy still here, isn't it? It literally is like Daniel Levy is still here. Souza, the ongoing battle for the young Brazilian from Santos. This club never changes. It literally never changes. Spurs remain in talks with Santos over a deal for the left back, but are understood to be prioritising forwards now during this January transfer window. Spurs are understood to have submitted a fresh offer in the region of €15 million for the left back. Santos are yet to answer Spurs, but they want to sell on as part of any deal. And as things stand at the moment, Spurs are understood to be split on a decision as to whether they do want to sign João Palhinha on a permanent basis. Of course, many will know he was one of Thomas Frank's key targets to bring in during this or the previous summer transfer window. So that is currently split as things stand. In terms of Tottenham right now, as we leave and exit this show, very, very quiet around Tottenham and Thomas Frank. There are reports, there are suggestions that there's a board meeting being scheduled for 9 a.m, which normally means we've got to keep everybody on emergency watch, Cracks, as you know, because it could mean we're back for...
I've heard they've asked you to organise that board meeting, Rick, for 9 a.m, so they'll start at about 11 a.m, I reckon.
And you know what? I'd still try and make it successful, despite how late we're starting. I'd still try and make it work. Boys, I don't know what quite to say, but I'll ask you again, finally, one more time. Cracks, do you expect to see Thomas Frank in the dugout for Tottenham Hotspur against Aston Villa in the FA Cup at the weekend, given the magnitude and size of that game and what's left for Tottenham this season?
Rick, I'm going to leave this show, pick up my phone, put a hanky over my mouth to disguise my voice. I'm off to phone the White House and speak to Donald Trump. I'm telling him that there's an illegal Argentinian working in his country and to get his ICE officers round there immediately to deport him and bring Pochettino back to the UK, get him slung out of America, and then Thomas Frank can take off onto his narrowboat at Camden Lock to go and watch his Danish noir series on BBC4, and we can all just sail off into the sunset, happy as Larry. Is he there on Saturday? I don't know, Rick. I don't know. By Saturday, we could have had an interim, him gone, and another manager in as well by then. Nothing but nothing surprises me in football anymore. If he's there, he's there. If he's not, he's not. I just don't know. I really, really don't know, to be honest. I would say probably. I would say probably. I think they're probably going to try and fumble and stumble to the end of the season and then look at it from there. But if it gets any worse, and in the words of Mick McCarthy, it can, then like maybe he goes and we get an interim in. I don't know, Rick. I don't know. Football's bananas. It's gone fucking mad. Good night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do want to let us go, but our friend of the show, Georgia Killier, has just dropped us a comment that's coming from Christian Romero just before we're about to wrap up. I don't know what to make of this. Just very quickly, I'll come to you if I can, Luke, on this cryptic from Christian Romero. So Romero's just posted on, forgive me, I think it's Instagram, where he said, I'm going to read this out, what Romero's actually just said. He has said, it's quite a lengthy statement, so forgive me. He says, Romero, apologies to all the fans of you who follow us everywhere, who are always there and will continue to be there. We are responsible. There's no doubt about that. But we will keep facing up to it and trying to turn the situation around for ourselves and for the club. At times like this, it should be other people coming out to speak, but they don't. As has been happening for several years now, they only show up when things are going well to tell a few lies. What am I reading? We'll stay here, working, sticking together, and giving our all to turn things around, especially at times like this. Keeping quiet, working harder, and moving forward all together is part of football. All together, it will be easier. I tell you what, Romero don't do quiet statements, does he? That is... What do you make of that?
I mean,
Rick, I live amongst these people. I live amongst South Americans. There's huge waves of South Americans on Lanzarote, Colombians, Venezuelans, Peruvians, Argentinians. Like my lad Tom plays with a lot of South American kids. There's a lot of South American influence in football. They won't hold back. When they want to say something, they will hold back. They will tell you. And I mean, he's going to get hauled into the office tomorrow to explain that. But at last, somebody is come out and saying the way it is. And sometimes, like somebody just throwing in a big fuck off sandwich bomb into the proceedings can sometimes help things. And he's calling people out. He's literally saying that this club is not pulling together in one direction. And that mob upstairs, that little groovy gang of MPs and middle management are not football people. He is. So, yeah, well done, Christian Romero. Not right in today's football, but it is also very right as well. So, yeah, there's big problems at that club. There's big splits. There's infighting going on. They better start sorting themselves out, because otherwise, big trouble. Very South American of him to come out with that. Bravo.
I tell you what, I mean, just on that point, it's never a dull day at Tottenham. We're looking to wrap up and we get that as the ending parting gift. Luke, the club captain, just publicly called out the hierarchy of this football club. Where do we go next from here?
I'm just sick and tired of him sitting on the fence. He needs to just say it how it is. And, but it's interesting because you say he's calling out the hierarchy, but he said that this is over several years now. So he's not talking about Frank. He's not talking about Vinay. He's not talking like who is he actually talking about?
Who is he talking about? Yeah,
about it as an establishment, as a like, do you know what I mean? So it is interesting to know. But as you said, this isn't the first time he goes and dropped an absolute bomb. He done the same thing.
Is that him looking for a way out, Luke? Is that him looking for a way out?
I'm not so sure. Just on the basis that he dropped that huge statement on the day of Frank's appointment, saying how much he loved Dange, effectively, which was like that is such a weird way to start your new relationship with your new manager, regardless whether you felt Ange was your man or not. It was just a weird thing to do because every other player had done it weeks beforehand. So he's not shy in coming forward with his words, which is fantastic for us to see that. And I think Crackers is absolutely right. Someone does need to come out and say it, and sometimes you need to be in a position of strength. He's just signed a new contract. He's the club captain. So banish me if you like, but what can you actually do? How can they reprimand him? Because the team's struggling and we need our captains on the pitch to kind of lead us. So this is Tottenham Hotspur. It's Crackers. This is what I say about it. It's exactly that.
And do you know what? Luke's right. They'll probably look to try and punish him and banish him rather than turning around and looking amongst themselves and going,
we might be the problem here.
Do we need to look at ourselves here because this man said that? No.
Sorry, guys,
Panic,
we're not finished.
Him.
Sorry, we're not finished yet. We're not finished yet. Pedro Porro has just replied. This is insane. What is going on in this football club? Pedro Porro has just replied to Christian Romero's statement saying, "Amen. Keep going, brother. We have a lot of battles left." What the hell is going on here? What is going on?
This is
insane.
This is like Facebook mums, isn't it? Not happy. What's wrong? Can't say. Inbox me, hun. Okay. DM on way. Can't say.
Mum's net.
Marlon, let me come to you. We were about to wrap up this show, and it's just exploded. We've had a rom bomb, and now we've had Porro pretty much follow through, backing the captain. Keep going, brother. We've got a lot of battles left. Amen. What is going on at this football club? We're in crisis, aren't we? What is going on?
I think Romero's just put it out there. What's going on? If I remember correctly, he's called out the board before, hasn't he?
Of course,
a couple of years back.
The interesting thing about this is with Romero, just to zoom in even more in that statement. He says, at times like this, it should be other people coming out to speak. And like Luke said, he doesn't name who they should be. He says, but they don't. As has been happening for several years.
Vinay's one of them at the moment. You can clearly see, we used to hear from Vinay in the summer. Now we're in a crisis. Spurs are radio silent. We haven't heard a thing. So, and everything, to be fair, I get what he's saying, because what he's trying to say is that everything is now left to Frank. Frank's the one who's in front of the camera. He's the one that's everyone's pulling at, and it's him that. But today, we haven't heard from the captain. He hasn't come out and spoken to the press or anything like that. Vicario has, and other players have. It's never him. So I get he's dropped it, but he needs to take some responsibility too here. He is the club captain. He needs to take some responsibility in what he's saying and what he does on the pitch. And for me, Romero, I'm going to say this, Romero and Van de Ven might be our best players, but come on, you need to step up as well. And I get that he's calling out the board, but they could show something. They're not showing it to us on the pitch. They're not. The fight is not there. So it's all good saying, yeah, we need help, but show. And to be honest, tonight wasn't the worst performance out of all the ones that we've seen.
But again, we've lost again, Marlon. It's a fact we've lost again, isn't it? We've lost again.
I'm looking at it going, okay, so you're deflecting. They are deflecting from that. Romero's deflecting. And some of the players do need to look at themselves too.
But they obviously are clearly telling us as fans, because sometimes we might sit here and you think you're delusional by what you're seeing and what you're saying and what you're hearing the players say. But at least Romero is showing to you and telling you that you're not going crazy.
Yeah.
What the standards aren't good enough.
But the standards are not good enough but the standards are good enough from everybody. Like the board is not good enough, but they don't cross the white line. And that's the bit that's the bit that they're not thinking about. And the two players, like Romero, how many mistakes has he made in the last few games? A few.
Yeah.
But Porro, who everybody, all most of the fan base has said for the last month, he's playing too much, not putting in decent crosses, he's this, that, and the other. So they can sit there and say amen, but how many times have we heard Vicario come out on the Spurs channel? We need to do better. We need to do this.
This is why, Marlon. I started the show by saying this. I'm going to end the show by saying this. Something has to change in the short term, as in these next few days. Something has got to change. This vibe around the football club, this vibe around the fan base, This is not a healthy club to be around. You know, I can't imagine what must be thinking and going on that club right now.
When I first heard the statement, I thought he was calling us YouTubers out first. Maybe we're the problem.
But the thing he might be saying is, like, let's not forget. I know that he goes through fits and starts, but he was linked to go to Atletico Madrid. He is a World Cup winner. He signed a new contract, and he might have been told, "Listen, we're not messing around. We're going and signing, and we're going." And he's going, "Hang on a minute, we're losing games here, left, right, and centre because we're selling players and we're not buying any." So maybe that's part of it, where he's saying it's happening year on year. Maybe he's saying the attitude of the club, the way that we purchased, not necessarily a individual, but an idea and a way of working continually failed year on year.
But maybe he's looking at it. Maybe there is an infighting between Lange and Paratici, because everyone that we've been linked with, if we're being honest, is all you can blatantly tell is Lange signings. Because
these are not high-profile players, are they? These are ones for the future. Yeah. All right. So just to clarify what has just happened in the last 10, 15 minutes for those that are still with us and those that are listening back on the playback, we've had Christian Romero come out with a lengthy statement. And again, just to paraphrase what he has said, for those that have missed that, he is saying that there are issues behind the football club and that at times like this, it should be other people coming out to speak, but they don't. As has been happening for several years now, they only shut when things are going well to tell a few lies. Pedro Porro's replied back to that statement saying, "Amen, keep going, brother. We have a lot of battles left." Tell you, what a way to leave the show on an absolute suspense moment where no one really quite knows what's happening next, but it does feel, I think, something has got to happen in the short term. It has got to happen. This can't carry on. This can't continue. Cracks, welcome back.
Viva los Latinos. Muy bien, Don Papichulo Cristiano Romero. See, takes the Latinos to come in and just like stir things up, get the old pot going, get the old blood stirred.
Why have I got a feeling this could be a very, very long? Why have I got a feeling this could be a very, very long week? It could be a very, very long week this before Saturday. Saturday feels like a long time away now, depending on what could happen in these next few days. Cracks, loving you very much. I will say that we're going to see you very, very soon. Maybe sooner than maybe what we think, depending on what's going to happen at this football club.
Never a dull moment, is there? Never a dull moment. So if you don't like the drama, bugger off and support Atkin and Stanley, where they got a podcast where they're talking about which colour they're going to paint the tee up next. If you want the drama, you want the Netflix, you want the Dallas, this is where it's at. This is where it's at, isn't it? Oh, man, honestly.
This is unbelievable, this club. This club is actually unbelievable.
It is.
Unbelievable.
It's an experiment, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. But listen, once again, thank you, everybody that's tuned in and watched a little bit of therapy. And well done, all the boys and girls that have trunched off down to Bournemouth again tonight and got behind the team, because whenever anything happens at this club, the fan base of this club are always there supporting and getting behind things. It's the one good thing about this club. So, you know, it's the always constant, the always good quality. So, like, yeah, we'll stick together and get through this. I'm sure we will. Hopefully.
I mean, Anne said season 3 is better than season 2.
Yeah. Like the man over my shoulder once said, "No one here gets out alive."
I tell you, Marlon, thank you very much, mate. Again, difficult to know where this goes next, but it's Tottenham, so I'm sure, like always, we'll find a pathway, and no doubt it'll lead to even more chaos, right?
Yeah, no, of course, it's Tottenham Hotspur. But I just want to leave my last words tonight for Martin Chivers. Again, top man, rest in peace, and God bless his family. But big up Martin Chivers. That's what I want my last words to be tonight. I don't want it to be about Tottenham Hotspur. It's about him. Yeah. Legend.
Spot on. Marlon, thank you so much. Again, we pass on our thoughts and condolences to, obviously, the Chivers family and friends. Luke, close with you. Another normal day at the life of Tottenham, right? Who knows what comes next?
Another day in paradise, baby.
Oh.
This is just it, right? This is what we live for. Character building. It's absolutely character building being a Spurs fan. So, yeah. But I think Marlon's right. There's only one way to finish it off. So rest in peace. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Listen, guys, Cracks, Marlon, Luke, thank you so much. And like I say, thanks again to the over 15,500 that have been tuning in with us during what has been another episode in the life of Tottenham where nobody knows what happens next. But what you do know, there's more drama to come. Thank you again for your support. Keep liking, hyping, subscribing again to Marlon and Luke's respective channels as well. We have been the last word on Spurs. No doubt we'll be seeing you sooner than probably what we want to be seeing you because of the nature of this football club. From us all, keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on,